I think I made a leap, a discovery.
But videos that are either about weapons or video games. Now, this is odd because the video I'm about to show comes from this exact same channel and is nothing like his other videos, which makes it even more believable, if not more creepy.
Plus
The
the way
video
they're
starts off with a
talking.
montage of him and his friends vacationing in France.
Plus the way that these French dudes are talking. You can just like kind of tell it's real.
All appears to be normal until, towards the end of the video, where things get really creepy. It isn't until Ruben and his friends visit an old bunker hidden in the French Alps that an ominous feeling begins to set in. Right before entering the bunker, which happens to be really deep, the group splits off, which, as we all know, is the best thing to do in a situation like this. So the whole gang splits and leaves two people behind. Those two people later on go inside and encounter something really creepy. This is what they caught on camera.
Jezus, het is gewoon sneeuw. Hoe dan? Oh, dit voelt als een heel slecht idee eigenlijk. Ja, is goed, we gaan terug.
And then they're like, nope, we're actually out. Alright, so let's discuss this for a moment. So you can see that that's a very thin experience, very thin. Look how thin. You can barely capture it, right? You can barely see it. It's barely come through to, the visible spectrum, in other words, right? Because we're in the electromagnetic spectrum where we see like 1% of it, right? So I hope everybody now has, come off the unsubscribe button. Oh, I think ghosts are real and all this shit. There must be so many OPs on my channel. Like I had like 10 people unsubscribe since making these videos. They're not all edited, they're not all fake and stuff. I've had my own like ghosts, so on, etc. experiences. So these are shadow bangs, right? What's interesting about this is that one I showed you the other day, it was really defined and really thick, and this is only just visible and just defined. That's what I mean by like a thin experience. There's nothing to the meat, you know what I mean, of the moment, the meat of the moment. So it's a very thin slice of meat, you know what I mean. It's like if you're very hungry and you eat a thin slice of meat. Anyway, so my point with this is the epiphany here, was that, right? The other day, the guy was communicating with his shadow being in the other video. He was saying, it was from the same channel and these same scary compilations. It was like back 10 or 20 compilations, and he was saying, turn off the light and stuff, right? And this entity would do it at telepathic speed, right? When he said turn, he wasn't even barely through the word turn off the light. It wasn't even halfway through his sentence when the entity like turns off the light. So it's obviously at, what some of us think as like hive level. Hold on, just seeing if I'm still recording. Yep. With some of us think of this at like the hive mind level, right? Ego Ethereum platform, things like that I talk about, high levels of the mind. I mean, we're way past, you know, conduit as brain. I think that stuff's all obvious and you know, 20 years ago in mainstream. Anyway, so this experience, look, it doesn't do anything to them. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, they just back out, everything's sweet. Apparently they didn't notice. Oh, okay. But they just well, that's how thin it was. They literally went, okay, well, we didn't see it, let's go back. And they reviewed the footage, obviously, and saw it after. So my point is that the other day, that entity was really vivid. Like, the outline was very defined, and this was not defined, the image we were just looking at, this entity. And my point is that the more they are in here, the more they can mess with you. So, you know, we'll get to that other end another day when I have an epiphany on that.